Hello everyone, I'm Paul Hakimian, and I want to welcome you to the brand new Paul Hakimian Show. We're going to have a lot of fun here today. First we have on Aidan Dugan from Westwood Wrestling to talk about hitting the 100-win milestone. So Aidan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Aidan Dugan. I was born and raised in Washington Township, New Jersey. I've been wrestling since I was young, maybe second grade, first grade. At Westwood High School I wrestle, play football, and I've been a part of the esports team as well. I'm a senior here at Westwood. I'm 17 years old, and I just got my 100th win in wrestling.
Yeah. So how does it feel to hit the milestone?
It's a big accomplishment. Last year during the wrestling season, I was able to wrestle a lot with Gavin Seiler, and he had his 100th win at the regional tournament. So to grow up with Gavin, to wrestle with Gavin, and to have him hit the milestone and then me hit it the next year is a pretty special thing. So
was Gavin Seiler and other older wrestlers kind of like a mentor figures to you?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, my older brother Christopher wrestled, so I would always watch the guys like Benny Dada and Trent Furman, and even when I got older, it turned into like Ethan Fernandez, and there have been a lot of great wrestlers that come through Westwood High School, and to be young and grow up and watch and then become part of it actually is a pretty special thing.
Absolutely. So walk me through your 100th win. You know, they just declared you the winner, and what was going through your head?
I mean, even the day before, I was a little nervous. I'll be honest, I didn't sleep.
So you knew it was coming?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I knew I had 99 wins. I didn't sleep a whole lot the night before, which is a little out of character for me. Even last year, the night before Rutgers, I got great sleep. I don't think I've ever struggled with getting sleep before big events, but I didn't sleep before my 100th win. I was a little nervous. We had a great warm-up. I might have been a little aggressive towards some of my teammates, but I was just ready to wrestle. I was so locked in. And then on the mat, I was like, I mean, I knew I could beat the kid. I knew it'd be my 100th win. And then to get the applause after was definitely very rewarding.
Absolutely. It was a huge moment for you?
Yeah. I mean, 100 wins is a big accomplishment. Whether you're at a school like this or at a bigger Catholic school, beating 100 people in wrestling is a pretty big accomplishment, and to consider myself one of the top 10 in Westwood wins is pretty good.
It's great to hear. So let's back up a little bit. When did you start out with wrestling?
I think I started in maybe first or second grade, so that would be 8 or 9 years old. But growing up, I'm the youngest of 4, so I have 3 older brothers, and we would always kind of roughhouse around, and even when my older brothers would have wrestling matches, I'd be down on the side wrestling with the other kids, and I've been wrestling my whole life pretty much.
Right. So what were some challenges you faced early in your wrestling days?
I've definitely improved a lot. My freshman year, my record wasn't great. I think I only had about 17 wins. I was definitely wrestling, I'd say in high school, just because of Westwood, it's a pretty competitive team.
Right.
My weight has been like a factor. Wrestling at the weight class I naturally am versus cutting weight and not being able to cut weight because the guy below you is better than you. It's a good problem to have when you have good guys looking for spots. But I would say my biggest competition was probably the other guys in the room, is just pushing me. My first 3 years I always had the opportunity to wrestle with Gavin, and he would always push me, and now I'm kind of the guy pushing other people, and even the coaches pushing me. There's always competition in the room, and I'd say that was probably the biggest difficulty. But it's all good competition at the end of the day when the competition's with your teammates, because then you get out on the mat and it's just like practice.
Right. So even though the sport itself, you know, the matches are individual, there's still a sense of team and camaraderie there.
Yeah, it's definitely a big team sport. Our coaches say it all the time. It's your best guy can only get 6 points and your worst guy is only worth 6 points. So even though it's an individual sport, some would say, there's definitely a big team aspect to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to touch up on the whole weight class thing and cutting weight and that sort of thing, because I know it's such an important thing for wrestling. So how does that impact your kind of day-to-day life during the wrestling season?
Well, entering wrestling season, coming off the back of football, I was pretty close to 200 pounds, and now I'm down to about 175. It's really just diet at the end of the day. It's calories in, calories out. When you're running around a room for 3 hours a day sweating your butt off, you're going to lose a lot of weight and burn a lot of calories. So it's just eating right and eating clean food. And I think I feel now better at 175 pounds than I did in football at 200 pounds. It's just a product of eating right and exercising more. And some people do go a little too far in the sport of wrestling, especially at the high school level, cutting weight, like to the point where you're like not eating or drinking. But if you do it properly, it's definitely a good thing, but it could become abusive to your own body at a point.
So in a way, it's important to keep a mental balance of things.
Yeah, I mean, if your like goal in life is wrestling and doing that, then you're gonna do everything you can to be the best. But I would say most of the kids, especially here, we all have the same mindset. It's you're a kid that wrestles. You're not a wrestler that's a kid. So you got to put your priorities. You're a student athlete. You're not an athlete that's a student.
Absolutely. So what other skills outside the mat does wrestling teach?
There's definitely a lot of social aspects to it. You're only wrestling for 6 minutes, and sometimes you're at tournaments for 4, 5, 6 hours. Right. So there's definitely like, I mean, that leads back into it's not a team sport, it's an individual sport. Well, you're with these guys for 4, 5, 6 hours every day. You're going to get to know them pretty well. And I would say your social, if you're pretty independent and you're sitting on your phone, like wrestling kind of forces you to get out there and get with your teammates. We definitely create close bonds, and we do some like team activities and stuff. So there's a big social aspect to it as well.
So as a team, how do you guys prep for a match?
We practice, the varsity team practices Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and the JV squad practices Tuesdays and Thursdays only because they wrestle on Mondays. So our practices are in preparation for matches Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday. So in a typical week, it'll be practice Monday, practice Tuesday, match, practice, match, match. So it's a lot of competing. A lot of like the real practice happens before the season just to get down into shape. And once you're in wrestling shape, it's kind of just maintaining. You're practicing 3 days a week, you're wrestling 3 days a week.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and then what's your pregame routine, and how does it differ from some of your other sports that you do in other seasons?
I think wrestling is kind of more on you, I would say. If you want to get a good warm-up, you push your own pace. It's not like a football team where everyone's doing the same drills. It's kind of more independent. But as a team, on our team match days, we will warm up together. But at the end of the day, if the match starts at 106, you're 106 pounds, you're not going to be dying in the warm-up. You're going to be getting ready for your match. But then when it actually comes time to like get ready for your match, there's 2 guys that have to go before you. That's when you kind of got to get in that like eyes in the front, hunting, and you got to get in that mindset where you want to like go out there and dominate.
And how do you stay focused leading up to a match?
Well, I always have my camera with me on the match side, and that kind of keeps my mind off the wrestling, because if you only think about wrestling like for 4 or 5 hours, you're going to go insane. You're just not going to be able to think about anything else. So I always have the camera there. I'm trying to get my shots, which gets me in a different headspace, which I think is big.
I know that headspace too, absolutely.
Because you're focusing on something other, you're keeping your mind off the wrestling, and obviously once it's match time, you got to get in that headspace where you're going out there to dominate, but before it, I used to like to use my camera to get out of the headspace. Yeah,
absolutely. And so is photography a little bit of a hobby for you?
Yeah, I definitely do like taking pictures of sports. I said it in my interview with you, Paul. I do like photography. I'm pretty passionate about it. I might not do it as much as I should, but it definitely helps me in the sports and wrestling too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what is some of your keys to your game during a match?
I keep it pretty simple. I try to come out like pretty hard, pretty fast. I try to beat the guy as quick as possible, and if that doesn't work, I try to outwork him. And it's only a 6-minute match, so you only have 6 minutes to break a guy, but it's definitely possible to break a guy in 6 minutes. And
then something I always see whenever I come out to see you wrestle is you have such a move where you pick the guy up and you absolutely suplex him. I mean, how do you even train for that?
Coach Ortiz puts a lot of work in the weight room and us with the off season, and then I was also lifting with Mr. Guy, Coach Guy, for football.
Right.
So it's a lot of, I mean, the deadlift is like a big thing. You're picking people up and putting them down. But then it's also wrestling's a lot of strength. It's a lot of technique as well. So I've been working with Coach Matt Ulrich from New Milford, and he actually put a crazy amount of time into me in the off season. So getting better, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better over the past couple months, and I would credit that to those guys.
Well, that's absolutely great to hear, Aidan, and congrats to you on your 100th win this season, and good luck to you going forward. We'll be keeping in touch with you.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, you're watching the Paul Hakimian Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Paul Hakimian Show. We have here now Coach Collis of Westwood Basketball to talk a little bit about the Alumni Game that they had last Saturday. So, Coach, how did that idea come up?
Just talking to a couple parents, former players. Something we'd wanted to do for a little bit of time. I've been coaching now 13 years, so I figured, we have a good, got a good following and a good, group of kids that have graduated from here. So we said, let's do it.
Absolutely. So once you had the idea, what was the kind of organization process like to get it all together?
Reaching out to some former alumni with, they're through via text, via email, gathering information. So, we sent out, some forms for kids to fill out, participate, reaching out to former parents that I'd been in touch with. And, a bunch of the alumni were great with helping me organize t-shirts, flyers. Some of them, a couple of our graphic designers and put up together a flyer for us. So decent amount of work, but all seemed to get together pretty well.
Yeah, it was a real fun time. I was there too, and you could just see everyone was so into it, and you could really see life in the program.
Yeah.
So tell me about your kind of side of things. I saw you and Coach Camp were officiating the game. What was that like for you?
Officiating's a lot harder than it looks. Definitely, refereeing is not my strength. But, just something we thought would be fun. Myself, Coach Camp, who, both having coached a lot of these kids, all of them or most of them. And, definitely don't want to be a referee in my future.
It was a great time, though. You really see, you guys were very casual, very fun, kept a great atmosphere with it. So, what would you say is your favorite moment from the game?
I don't know if I'd say actually the game, but, getting the opportunity to interact with past players. And the other thing that, we were really happy with was the turnout from their family and friends.
Of course.
So, other kids that graduated from here, their parents and stuff like that, just being able to catch up, find out what's going on. Some are, starting families, one was pregnant who was unable to participate but was a coach for the game. Seeing where they're at in their lives that was definitely the most special piece, seeing these kids growing up.
Absolutely. And how does seeing some of these Westwood greats kind of energize your current team?
I think it was a fun time had by Hall, and sometimes they come to our practice, and then getting to watch them all play against each other, interact with each other, have a good time. I think that can be inspiring for our younger players in the program, even our older players. Some of them had siblings, the Gashlers, right. Aaron and Greta's older sister Katie was in there, and just kind of something to say, all right, this is awesome. This is something I want to be a part of.
Absolutely. And if you had to pick one of those alum that participated in the game to join your current team, who would you pick?
After that game, I'd probably have to pick Jade Hines-Clark.
Of course.
Jade, she's 6'1". She's a threat from all over the court. Her defense is phenomenal, and she carried the white team out there.
Right. She had a great game.
Yeah.
So if you could give me a little bit of like a mental kind of estimate or ballpark, how many career points do you think were involved in that alumni game?
Probably, I'd say, probably about 10,000.
Yeah,
I think there was 5 1,000-point scorers in there on the floor.
A lot of history there, and it's great to hear that. And now we're looking forward to tonight. You're having your girls' senior night.
Yes.
That's going to be a great time. So, Coach Collis, good luck to you and your team, and we'll see how your team goes throughout the season.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you're watching the Paul Hakimian Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Paul Hakimian Show. We're here now with Ms. Keller of the Westwood Regional Art Department, here to talk about the Art Festival. Ms. Keller, welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about the show?
Sure. This is an art festival to celebrate creativity for all ages.
Oh, that's great to hear. So a real family experience?
Yes. We're hoping that we have a good turnout this year.
That's great to hear. So what are some things in store for today?
Oh, we're going to be experimenting with different mediums. There'll be a watercolor station, a origami station, as well as a jewelry making area and sculpture, as well as a little bit of some other creative arts.
So really covering a wide spectrum of the arts. So tell me, how does the art students contribute to the art festival?
The art students from the art club, NAHS, anybody who is interested in the arts from National Honor Society as well will be helping to participate in this event. They're going to be helping at the various stations and creating art with the kids.
If you had to pick one station that you want to spotlight, what's the absolute must-see at the festival, do you think?
That's the stuff table. Now, we have this name for it because it is just a bunch of stuff. You name it, it's on that table. And you can create whatever your heart desires. What little kid doesn't love that?
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I'd always just, to make total messes of things.
Yeah.
But, and yeah, at the whole table, that sounds like a great time for anyone.
Yep.
So what does it take to put together a large-scale show like this?
Lots of time and planning, collections over time of the materials and recycled materials mostly. We use a lot. We also have a collection of goods from various people that have donated over the years, and we use it all.
And I know that as the NAHS and a couple different art groups here, you guys try to keep an effort to be very green and very recyclable with a lot of things you do. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. We tend to use cast-offs from other projects, extra pieces of cardboard cut off of various projects. You can see recycled canvases being used as backdrops or bases for other materials and other things and other creations. But again, it's all about being versatile in our department and learning how to reuse and recycle our materials.
That's absolutely lovely to hear. So what do you hope people take away from the show?
A few different projects. They get to take home everything that they make, and hopefully some of it will be wearable and frameable, as well as just to have fun and enjoy themselves. That's what the event is about.
Well, that's wonderful to hear, Mrs. Keller. Thank you. And be sure to stop by the Art Festival this Saturday at Westwood High School. You're watching The Paul Hakimian Show on WTV. We'll be right back. That's all from the show today. We hope you enjoyed. You were watching The Paul Hakimian Show, and be sure to support Cardinals Athletics. Take care now.